If your raised beds are eating money but not growing better vegetables, the problem might be the amendments you're buying. Welcome to rudeinsect.com.
And that hurts because the garden aisle is very good at making you feel like one shiny tub of soil booster is standing between you and a tomato harvest worthy of a county fair ribbon.
Today we're talking about what actually improved yield in raised beds after 2 growing seasons in a Zone 6B kitchen garden. Not a lab trial, not white coats and clipboards, but pretty controlled for a backyard setup.
Right, 7 raised beds, each 4 by 8 feet, 12 inches deep, same slope, same drip tape, same mulch, same tomato varieties. The beds got sun from around 8:30 in the morning until about 6 in June, then less later when the maple tree started acting like it owned the place.
Rude maple. On brand, honestly. So, Fiona, if someone asks, what's the best soil amendment for raised beds in 2026, what's the boring answer?
Finished compost. Boring, dependable, and annoyingly hard to beat. Across tomatoes, peppers, bush beans, lettuce, basil, cucumbers, kale, carrots, and even those zinnias along the edge, compost gave the most consistent improvement. Not always the biggest dramatic jump in one crop, but the most reliable bump across the whole garden.
And that's the key. We're not just chasing one giant tomato photo. Compost helped the beds hold moisture, reduced crusting, and made the soil more forgiving when July watering got a little optimistic.
Compost is like garden insurance. If you're using bagged compost, something like an organic compost and manure blend can work well as a top dress. But I wouldn't fill a brand new 4x8 bed with bagged compost unless you've recently inherited a pirate chest.
I'm glad you said that, because new raised beds can swallow material. Compost is great, but it gets expensive fast. Use it to improve the top few inches, not as your entire retirement plan.
Exactly. In the test, the amendments were worked mainly into the top 4 inches after loosening the old bed soil with a broad fork. No full bed tilling, because rebuilding soil structure every spring is a special kind of punishment.
I do want to bring up fertilizer, because people mix it up with soil building. The granular organic fertilizer did help when plants looked pale or sluggish.
Yes, especially a balanced all-purpose organic fertilizer around a 4:6:2 ratio. That's gentle enough for vegetables without blasting leafy crops with nitrogen until they're floppy and weak. But fertilizer doesn't fix bad structure. If the bed is compacted, water-repelling, or basically contractor fill with sadness sprinkled in, fertilizer is only a snack, not a renovation.
Been there. Our first raised beds had screened topsoil from a local guy. Very nice person. Very mean soil. It crusted after rain. Pepper stayed ping-pong ball-sized, and by August, it was brick, with earthworms filing complaints.
Compost fixed that over time. Not overnight, but season by season. That's why I'd rather see gardeners spend money on compost first, then fertilizer only when the crop actually needs feeding.
Now, I know you have a soft spot for worm castings.
I do, and I won't apologize.
They're expensive worm confetti.
They are expensive, but useful in small amounts. I wouldn't blanket a whole bed with them. I put a handful in transplant holes for tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, or use a light band near heavy feeders. Think seasoning, not main course.
Fair. What about biochar? That one gets talked about like it's ancient garden wizardry.
Biochar is a maybe. It can help with nutrient holding and soil texture, but only if it's charged first with compost, compost tea, or fertilizer. Raw biochar can temporarily tie up nutrients. In an already decent bed, I'd test it in one section before buying a mountain of it.
Leaf mold?
Lovely for texture and moisture. Great if you can make it from fall leaves, but it's slow and not a heavy nutrient source. It's more soil conditioner than plant food.
And peat moss or core-style moisture amendments.
Not my first choice for established raised beds. Peat can be hydrophobic when dry, and there are sustainability concerns. Coir can help moisture, but quality varies, and some products need rinsing because of salts. Compost and leaf mold usually give a better overall return.
So the practical 2026 recipe is top dress with finished compost, use worm castings sparingly, add balanced organic fertilizer when crops are hungry, and be skeptical of miracle tubs.
And watch the plants. Pale leaves, slow growth, and poor fruiting tell you one thing. Crusting, pooling water, or soil that turns to brick tells you another. Feeding and fixing soil structure are related, but they're not the same job.
That's the whole takeaway. Better raised beds don't come from buying every amendment. They come from knowing what problem you're solving.
Thank you for listening to this edition of RudeInsect.com, Conversations with Grant and Fiona.